Okay, we'll start in a moment. It's uploading the live stream. That way we'll have a recording of the meeting. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ready to start. Okay, welcome to SAT Prep for the August 27th SAT. I think it was about 8 years ago we started doing our own SAT Prep after certification by Princeton Review. Since that time, I've become a Jedi, and I now can teach teachers, which I've done. We have teachers working with me. I'm going to be expanding my team, but it won't affect this prep. Let's see. So this is done with Princeton Review, methodology and authorization. We'll talk about the book and the methods used, which is specially designed for this SAT prep. We'll have a discussion about that in a moment. The prep begins on this weekend. It'll give us just enough time to prep you for the August 27th SAT. Let's continue here. Let's talk about College Board test site status. It seems very, hey, what's he talking about? You just get a site and you register for the test. Well, it's not quite that simple. Just be careful, okay? This is probably the most important slide, unless you waste the prep that you're going to receive. I kicked myself many times during the pandemic, not clearly stating this enough so people remembered it. But please, I'll try to do it this time. Due to the LA County response to COVID-19, very few test sites in LAUSD, Compton, Inglewood, and Long Beach were open for the last 11 SATs. So there have been literally thousands of students. Now, I've complained and yelled and screamed at LAUSD. I did a really angry video that they had to listen to the very last prep, and one LAUSD high school had the prep. It was Washington High, but there were 5 other high schools that said they were going to have it that didn't have it, and they canceled right before the test. The same thing's true with Dominguez High School in Compton and also Morningside High School in Inglewood. So please, please look, really understand this bullet here. It's extremely important. What can I say? Now, people are reporting to me that they're having trouble registering outside of these areas. And I'll tell you what's going on in that in a minute, and I'll tell you how I can help you. College Board will allow you to register for the SAT at many of these high schools who will later cancel their sites. And unfortunately, they cancel after the due date, and you're left out in the cold. Before I go on, has anybody already registered for the August 27th test? Could you give me a hand up, or if you know how to do that, or okay, you've already registered. Ryan, have you registered?
So she registered. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't hear you now. Could you open your mic? I might hit a bar.
Oh, sorry. We tried for August 27th and there was nothing.
Okay,
Not even in San Diego.
Well, wait a minute. I want to make sure of that. And by the way, let's suppose it is only San Diego. I bet it's not though. But let's suppose. How did you do it? Did you?
Well, I'm saying that I couldn't even find anything in San Diego. I didn't ask for a specific location though, but we did register for August 1st. I mean October 1st, but not August. I couldn't find anything.
I'll talk to you about that in a second.
Okay.
Because I want to be sure of that before you take this prep. You may need to take the prep for the October test. This is why I'm doing this right now. Now, The other thing is, did you actually ask it for 10 miles away, 15 miles away, et cetera? Did you just?
Yes, and we went up to 100, I believe it was.
Right, and that's because probably you just started looking the other day.
When maybe 2 weeks ago.
All right, I see anybody else. Sister Pamela, are you signed up? Or she signed up for the SAT?
No, she isn't. She had been signed up previously and we cancel. So,
Because, oh, you just canceled it. Okay. Okay.
but she hasn't signed up now. So I'm hoping to figure out something.
Well, you might, you heard the last comment.
Yeah.
So here's what I recommend. Somebody needs to give me their username and password so I can go on and verify you can't find anywhere. Let's see. I almost want to take a pause, but I won't do that. I'll go through the orientation anyway. And at the end of the orientation, somebody has to let me use their login and see if I can find a site. Because sometimes I don't know what it is, but I find it. Because there's a way of using that little searcher that's kind of unusual. And I won't have you out on the moon somewhere either. But you certainly won't be in LAUSD, Compton, or Inglewood. They probably are officially not telling people they have test sites now. They used to tell people we have a site and then they pull it. So maybe that's what's causing this, that those 4 areas don't do the SAT anymore. If you're guessing, that has me greatly concerned and does disadvantage college students from California who are going for selective colleges out of state. Okay, so we're going to go through with the prep, but you just remember that if you take the prep for the October, you don't have to do the orientation again. And I'm going to say immediately register for the prep for the October 1st test. If you take the prep and then you'll wait like, let's see, August, you'll wait a month and then try to take it based on what you had. These preps are built for people going right into the test. We prep right up to the test date. They go take the test. If you wait a month, they could go to review prep with me in October, but I think the best way is to come out of a real prep into the SAT. Now, if you know the schedules will be really busy in September, because sometimes you know that, then the thing to do is to take the full prep here, do the review prep, and then take it October 1st. And I'll see in those cases if I can provide a practice test kind of near the end of this prep. I'll provide you with a facility to do a practice test that feels like a real test, okay? So we can see where you are baseline going into that test. All right, so I'd say let's go through the orientation and just realize that you'll need to register right away for the October 1st SAT, and then we'll decide from here what we do. In other words, it may be that you just do review prep before the October test, or you just postpone your prep until that time. Okay, now I'll do a practice test if you decide to take this and then come back for review. I will provide a practice test. Any questions on that? Because this is where the bullet will be used to stop and find that out. Scott's, on the other hand, you guys are scheduled. What high school are you taking it at?
So they offered a SAT at my high school, but it was all booked up. So I had to book one in Antelope Valley.
Right. So you have a decision too. And maybe you guys have already decided. You can drive to Antelope Valley and take that test, make it an away trip and do it. And to say you heard what I told them, if you don't, then you'll simply do the orientation. You'll take the prep, then you review for the October 1st. But that depends on your schedule. If you're really going to be busy when school starts, that's probably the best schedule. If you're not going to be busy, then maybe you do the review. Only you know your schedule. Does everybody understand their alternatives? I want to be sure that alternatives are understood. Are you all leaning toward driving out, Sister Naomi?
Yeah, we're going to make a night of it.
All right. Okay. Well, then this is very relevant for you. Remember that there's 4 people not here that aren't hearing that question. That's why this orientation meeting is so important. I just cannot, you guys don't know how important it is. I'm going to figure out a way to get them the information. All right, let's continue on. So register for the SAT, and I even mentioned Simi Valley, Orange County. I didn't say Antelope Valley, but you get the point. Los Alamitos High School created 4,000 spots for the SAT. I was in the news. They doubled their seating. I just wonder if I guess that's not impacting this. They added them for the very reason that LA County high schools were not doing it. This is Christina here. Okay. The last SAT, someone found Redondo Union High School that was available, and also Manhattan Beach High. So the South Bay high schools were available for the SAT. Please contact your test site often prior to the prep and confirm they will open. So even the Scots, I would call before taking the trip, the week before, call the school, whatever high school it is, and make sure they haven't changed and are not offering the test. You don't want to make that drive and find that out. And that's the same with anyone who breaks through at this point, that we need to make sure that that they can do that. Okay. I see Jan Nolan coming in. Is that someone related to you, Sister Kendra? Is that you, or who's that?
Yes, grandmother.
Grandma. Okay, it's a grandmother. Okay. So to be sure you know, because I don't do passwording on these meetings. I just click and you're in. You go to the waiting room and you're in.
Oh, wow.
I don't do that when I have registration control. The controller with registration. So I can see who registered and see if anybody, you know. All right, college responses to cancellations. Well, how have the colleges responded to the lack of test availability in California and on the West Coast and in certain states? And I don't want to get too political, but you can predict the states that were locked down the most, and they still are having uncertainties, like Illinois, Massachusetts, California. They're still have some, like what we just covered, problems with shortages of test sites, et cetera. UC, 9 campuses, and the California State University, 23 campuses, will not require the SAT or the ACT. Now, not require is serious. It means they're not even going to read it. They're test blind. Some people say, I'm still going to send them the scores. Well, you realize it's illegal for them to look at the scores. So the scores will not be considered at all in the case of UC and CSU. And that was a big point of my meeting last Sunday and the Sunday before, that they're only going to look at GPA. In fact, I grouped the CSUs in groups by GPA, I believe, in the meeting I had Sunday. If you're interested in getting that, just let me know. Many private colleges, however, are test optional. The SAT will help students in that case, right? Because the old thing, there's no optional. It's going to be required, really, because if you're going to be competitive, unless you're straight A's, seriously, and even if you are straight A's for some colleges, you're going to have the SAT, even optionally, will help you. So I usually tell people that we'll talk about that in a minute. Other schools are already no test. So you can go to fairtest.org. There are plenty of schools that are already no test. Okay, there are plenty of them. Who should take the SAT? Students with a GPA of 3.0 or above, and I say the higher the better. Apply for schools that are test optional. However, beware, there could be affordability issues if you're below 3.8. Like you might get in because of the SAT, but there may still be affordability issues because you need a high GPA and a high SAT to get a high merit award. So you might get in because you're SAT, but there still may be affordability issues. Or any lower GPA, if you're willing to take a very high, that's what I'm talking about, debt or cost for college. You have to be willing to do that because you might get in because of the score once again, but there may be some debt for that college. We're really poking around about private colleges because those are the ones that are mostly test optional, that are using the test. So there are a lot of private schools that don't even read the SAT. For example, and you can look at that website I told you a moment ago back here, fairtest.org, and you'll find out lots of schools don't read, like George Washington University does not read the SAT. And then you have schools like, I believe it's Pitzer. Oh, no, I believe it's two of the Claremonts anyway. If you have a certain SAT GPA, they won't read it. Like above 3.0, they don't read the scores. Okay, so but you can look at that site and get some good ones. There are lots of other ones too. I'm just freezing up about who they are now. All right, here is the schedule as it stands. There is a change, an improvement, I'm gonna call it, in the schedule that I want you to note. It's the Saturdays and Sundays that we mentioned online, starting this Saturday. You can see on here, I made a slight change to our plan. These both sessions here, I'll be either going out of town or out of town. I'm taking that, so it'd be better for me to be online both times. Now, online, I think Christina will mention this later, but online does not mean Zoom. We don't use Zoom at all for the SAT prep. Let me say that again, unless we have a technical difficulty. That's our contingency plan. But we have a Princeton Review classroom, and it's bad. Bad means good. It's a very good place to learn the SAT. I have a lot of tricks and polling and all kind of stuff I can do. And therefore, since it's going to be the Princeton Review classroom, we'll provide you with our plan for getting you the instructions for login. Okay? So Saturday and Sunday, and I know it's terribly inconvenient for a short period of time. If you can get through it, as I mentioned to a lot of you in your meetings with me, it's 2 to 3:30. Now, except when you get here, we have Monday and Tuesday. This is not listed online. I used to call these optional sessions, but I'm calling them sessions now. They're just going to be an hour. If you can join me online. So Tuesday the 20th, oh, that's wrong. 23rd. That should be the 23rd. Tuesday is the 23rd, everybody. I have a typo there. I made a mistake. Tuesday the 23rd is the last time I'll see you before you take the test. And I'll also do some last encouragements and some reminders about things on the 23rd. I'll have a digital or a video to parents right before the test, about a 10-minute video telling you the things you need to do in preparation for your student to go away to take the test in the case of Scott's, or to take the test. In other words, how to manage your house for the test, okay? All right, so these are now, so this is the schedule as it stands today. Only thing new about it really is that there's something online made me think that it said online and in person for the Saturday session, but we'll be online the entire weekend because I can do this while I'm on travel much easier. That's the only way to do it when I'm on travel. So I want to be the one teaching the group the first 2 days of class. I don't want to delegate that. In person and online means that you can have the option to come up to the church. We'll have a room set up. You can sit in the room and watch me teaching or whoever's teaching. We'll have a whiteboard. We'll have cameras streaming it in the Princeton Review classroom. Okay? That's what in person and online means. So we get to the 14th to the 20th. Actually, before that, I believe, if you look at this, yeah. Even before that, we'll be doing in person and online. Okay? All right, any questions on the schedule? One question that always comes up when we get started, because some of you have things that will come up and you'll miss the sessions. I cannot guarantee you we can give you recordings of the sessions like your teachers did in high school. This is closely guarded copyright on the material. I'll ask Princeton, but if you miss a session, unfortunately, you'll just know the pages that you missed, and you'll perhaps be able to go over them or just join in the class. Maybe you can pick it back up. Absolutely try not to miss classes. It defeats the whole purpose of the prep when you have to miss classes. So try your best not to miss classes is what I would advise. Now, of course, people always will ask me, I get a call or email, is it all right to miss? So faithful to my obligation to you, unless it's a bereavement in the family or a serious illness or injury in the family, I'm going to be a selfish teacher and say, I don't see any reason you should miss. I think it's that important. You hired me to do a job, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to really hope that if you attend our sessions, I know it will improve your scores. Okay, any questions on the schedule? Okay. Here's some more general SAT prep information. Be sure to register. Like I mentioned to some of you, you'll be going to be registering for the October 1st, I suppose. If you want to wait for my test, that's fine. I'll email you guys tomorrow to go ahead and do it. I'm gonna be really quick with checking out this. I'm gonna check the site out tonight before I go to sleep if somebody gets me on there to look. So I can just see if there's other sites available. I'll make the information available to you. In fact, I've been known to, when I go in there and find it, pull out my credit card and do it for you. That's how crazy I am. But let me look and see what I can find. Maybe somebody will help me, like good old Sister Pam or Sister Kendra. Somebody will give me that login so I can check. This was not a part of the fee for the prep. Some people think when they pay for the prep, they paid for the SAT, but that's separate. You need to register for it, separate, register as soon as possible. And we can't reteach any missed sessions. I talked about that. Please be on time for the sessions and fully attentive with the camera on. Now, the way it really works is, here's why I love the Princeton Review classroom. Fully attentive, your mic, when you go in the classroom, it will default to have the camera off, but when you click to answer me, your camera and your voice will come up, and I'll get to see your smiling face and you'll answer me. And in the Princeton Review model, we call on you enough times in the class. So you want to be extremely attentive, and you want to have your camera hooked up. Make sure your cameras work. Please, parents, make sure the equipment they're using for the prep is functional. That's a good laptop, that the camera works. You don't have to have a perfect camera like me so you can hide your age. This camera's bad. My wife gave it to me. Bad means good. She gave me this camera, and it's one of those cameras that goes down the middle of the screen so I can like go like that, and y'all think I'm looking at y'all. But any kind of camera you got is fine, you know. I tell you what, I'm going to always be on camera. Somehow Billy got kicked out. Christine, you must have kicked her out. All right, here we go. All right. Let's see what else we got here. No cell phone, no texting, no music. I want your undivided attention for an hour and a half. These sessions used to be 4 and 5 hours. I look back on those days before the pandemic, we were crazy because I'm able to raise scores. I've learned how to raise scores on an hour and a half per session. We just have a few more sessions now, right? And I've also learned to what's really important to raise your scores and what really can wait to a later review if you want to go deeper into it and get a higher score. Okay. Please respond to questions from the instructor. The Princeton Review methodology. If I have a class of 8 students, I'm probably going to visit every student about 4 or 5 times in an hour and a half. I can usually get about 30 questions or requests to read or you know, things like that will keep you involved in the class. We have to do that, especially online. Again, I don't know how teachers taught online during the school year, but I'm told that I'm way more animated and getting students involved than any teachers were online. It's just me being me. I love doing it, and I'm being very interactive. More things to remember when youth get out of the prep depends on attendance. Usually attendance is the number one factor in our ability to raise scores. So really think about that with the house scheduling and students with your personal scheduling. You know, going to work is important, but it's not more important than my sessions. That's the way I feel about it. I really hope you can do that. And any employer that you might as well find out now how much your employer cares about you. You know, unless they're going to pay for college, they ain't that important. I know a certain person works for Chipotle. I ate some of your food last week at one of your Chipotles because you brought it up and made me hungry. But you tell them Chipotle people, I love your food. They're going to send Deacon Wilson down there if they have a problem. I can't believe I said that. But I did order Chipotle right after that. That's true. You got me thinking about it that day. The practice tests and analysis, homework and in-class work are essential. I give some homework, so does Sierra, but not a lot. We do a lot of it right there. I like to see what's going on. But we do, and when we do and students do it, it really helps them to feel more engaged when I come in and find out what they've done. It's very important to look at the homework. I don't give a lot. I mean, but all my homework is different than in school. My homework always relates exactly to what I talked about. I will never give homework on what I didn't talk about. Teachers always be doing that. Sorry to talk ghetto talk, but from talking to students, right, Ryan? I mean, you know, they give you homework on something they didn't even cover in class.
Yep.
and have you run around and get a tutor. The tutor goes, "That's not even part of this." And then you go, "Uh-huh." And your parents think, "Yeah, I'm doing the work." Sister Pamela, that never happens, right?
Oh.
That never happens, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Is Ariel laughing?
No, no, she's not laughing.
Yeah, she's serious about it. She know that happens. But I don't do that. If I cover something, the homework I give will be practicing what I covered. That's what it should be. I don't give a whole lot, but I give if you give the right homework, you don't need a whole lot. But if you give a whole lot of just busy work, Sister Kendra, like Grandma and Sister Kendra, a lot of busy work and stuff, that's what Ryan get all mad about. Because it's not appropriate. Anyway, by the way, you might not know this, Sister Kendra, but when Grandma shows up, boy, I know people mean business, boy. I be getting, there you go. Look at her. She put her thumb up. Grandma's a gamer. She knows. She's up on the game, y'all. All right, okay, let me get going here. Y'all gonna make me laugh and stuff. Please be sure you return after my breaks. I never had that problem. And then, of course, in class, inattentiveness. When we were in person, I would tell them, don't come to my class and just put your head down. I'm gonna wake you up every second and call on you. But I never have a problem. I have a very animated style. I gotta warn you, you should get sleep the night before you take me in class. I'm gonna be very animated. I only have an hour and a half, so I get fired up like it's a big game the night before the test. And I'm ready. And I think you're serious that way. I know Sierra's that way. So we're gonna keep you involved in the class. That's true whether you're in person or online. There are some virtual training rules we figured out. After 3 years of this, we've developed virtual training rules that really help. We've had the summer program, 2 years it was online. This year we were in person. But we've learned a lot about online training, and we'll never be the same because we're going to do a lot more. We'll be doing 2 tracks and everything, online and in person, and we're going to stream a lot, even in our homework club. But here's some things we figured out. Okay? Treat it like a classroom. When you come to the class, when you come to work online, you make sure your cameras are functioning, your microphone's functioning on. If you have a laptop in your house that's kind of like has attitude, try to use the one that doesn't, or make sure your desktop has speakers and cameras on it, etc. Back on time for breaks. Engage. Just be ready. You'll get used to my style. Just let me call on you. You can't just come on with it. I'll be compassionate. I won't tell you there's something wrong with you. And I think it's important that you stay engaged. Please follow the site registration procedures, which I don't know if, that's right, Bailey. We're going to be doing that, right, Bailey? Bailey?
Yes.
We'll do that in a minute. She'll have something to say to you about that. And I'll definitely amplify it because we got to send you the instructions for attending the Princeton Review online site. There's registration procedures. I will hit that in just a moment. The more selective and exclusive the schools you're looking at, the higher the GPA and SAT must be to admit or admit affordably. That's why you're here. So that's why I take these seriously, because I've been in SAT classes where students were like not paying attention, didn't show up much. And they were 10 points or 20 points short of a scholarship. This is definitely worth money, the more you can get your scores up. Each youth should make sure they have a government or school ID now, well before the August 27th test. And I hereby declare amnesty. If the student tells you, parents, that they lost their ID card, they have amnesty. You can't get mad at them. You can't lock them up, whatever y'all do. I don't know. You can't cut them out of the fried chicken if you have some food, whatever y'all gonna do. Just get that ID thing straight at the school. I've seen that keep students from taking the test because they're going to want to match the ID with the picture registration slip because there's been a lot of fraud on the SAT. Parents and guardians, let us know about any learning challenges or IEPs your student have as soon as possible. Now, that's not so much for me because the Princeton Review model is done in such a way that students who have attention problems do very well in the prep. I'm shocked at how well we can work it. That's why we got to stick to the way we do it. I do that because to instruct you on how they can get more test time. There's a way they can get more test time. I want to be sure you work with your counselors to do that. What supplies? Several wood pencils. So those graphics, I can't enforce it. If you're in person, I can though, right? We got a whole boatload of pencils at the church. If you show up, I might give you 5. Because the sites are not supposed to allow you to use graphic pencils. Ones you got to click and all that. Really, they're not allowed. Only wood pencils are allowed. That throws some students off. So here's what I would advise. Use the wood pencils during the prep, like the baseball players use the bat they use in the game. Use wood pencils in my prep and get used to it. I have a boatload of sharpened pencils. If when you might be coming by the church, I'll show you why in a minute. I have some pencils ready for you, and get a nice sharpener. Because if I'm using a pencil, I got to have a sharpened point. I don't know why. It's the thing I have. All right. But wood pencils, no letter graphic, because it will shock you when that proctor says, no, you can't use that. Okay. But in the prep, you can certainly practice using it. A hand sharpener, I mentioned. A calculator, no programmable calculators are really allowed. Use a calculator with basic trig functions and exponential capability. Okay. You may not even need the trig capability. It's more so the exponential. Like you can raise things to powers and take square roots and cube roots. That's what you're going to need for a calculator. That means you're going to get like a calculator for anywhere from $6 to $10. You can get it right from Rite Aid or Walgreens, maybe Target, maybe Target has them, Walmart. Make sure your calculator is working. I know it's summer, so relocate that calculator and make sure you have it and bring it to the prep, right? So you can practice using it. There's actually some practice I want to do with that when I'm covering the math. Let's do a score review and we're almost done. There are 2 major scores on the SAT, math and verbal. Now I've struggled with how to say this, but now parents, I'm back to the old terminology. Sorry about that. We're going to have a math score, we're going to have a verbal score. But the verbal score is based on 2 scores, evidence-based reading and evidence-based writing and language. Okay? So right now, colleges during the pandemic dropped the essay. The essay is no longer a factor in college admission. The UC claims to still be looking at it. Little inside information, maybe. Oh boy, look more at those essays you're going to write. So in fact, I expect an announcement from UC on that very soon. Remember where you heard it, okay? Math and verbal are the 2 scores, and the score is going to be 800. Maximum score is 800 on each. The minimum score is 200. You show up to the test, sign your name and put your head down, you get a 200 on each. If you can fog up a mirror, meaning you're alive, you get 200 each. You get a 400 score on the SAT. But then there's a sliding scale all the way up to 800. You can actually get an 800 and have some questions wrong. So a perfect score doesn't mean perfectly right. You could have 1,600 and have a couple of questions wrong. It depends on which ones you got wrong. It's really pretty complicated, but that's how it's scored. All scoring is based on the number of questions which are correct. So there's no deduction for wrong answers. And that's why I'm going to tell you, here's lesson number 0.01. Don't leave any questions blank. I'm going to mention that again. I'm going to mention it again. You don't want to leave anything blank. You want to take intelligent guesses, and you want to have a letter of the day because there's nothing off for wrong answers. You only get scored for right answers. So let's get that really straight. That's the way the test scores. I hear different people advising people what to do, to skip questions and don't guess and all that. But hopefully we'll have, as a minimum, questions you have to totally guess and have no idea. In fact, in our model, we teach you how to eliminate wrong answers. Okay. Test structure and length. These are arranged exactly by the sections on the SAT. Section 1 is when you show up, it's going to be evidence-based reading. It's going to be 52 questions. It used to be 55. 52 questions in 65 minutes. It is the longest section on the test. It's interesting, the reading. Some have said the SAT really is ultimately a reading test. They would not be wrong. 65 minutes, okay? Then you go to writing and language, which is the second part of that verbal score, right? That's section 2. There's 44 questions in 35 minutes. So you got to do more than one a minute, but it turns out you can answer most of the writing questions in about 7 to 20 seconds. We'll teach you how to do that. Right now, it'll take you 30 to 45. We can teach you how to do it in 7 to 7. You'll have more time. You'll be able to finish these questions. The math is in 2 sections, one without a calculator, one with the calculator. I know when you take the test, you'll swear the test had more questions, no calculator than calculator, but you can see it's almost 2 to 1, right? Can you see it's 20 versus 38? You get 38 questions with the calculator, 20 without it. It's a big difference in the kind of things they ask you in section 3, because they know you don't have a calculator, versus section 4. And we will cover that in the prep, how to handle section 3, because we think that's the key to scoring well on the test. Break time will add up to about 40 minutes. Some sites less, some sites less. It's a total of 3 hours and 40 minutes. Some sites less. Some sites will go 3.5 hours. And that's your test. So you notice there's no essay, because the essay is done separately. Make sure you actually need it for a school on your list, because most schools, just about all of them, have dropped the essay. There's no more essay tests. So we don't prep for the essay on the SAT anymore. Okay. All right, please pay any remaining fees. I think everybody's cool. Pick up the book. We have to talk about that. I have your books. I have books. It's funny, Bailey's hearing this for the first time. I got 4 down here, 5 down here. I got 4 up at the office. That gives us enough. If there are people that don't take it, we'll just hang on to the book. We'll have a book for the October test, no problem. So basically, you only have to come get a book if we determine you're actually taking the prep. Yes, I will give you a credit for any payments. You can carry it over to the next prep. Don't even worry about that. And review prep is always free at this point in time. We do review prep for free. It'll be about 4 to 6 hours of review before you take the test. We hit you with about 50 SAT questions to get you ready for in October. So please pick up the book. Now, when do you get it? At our place, 12 noon to 8 p.m. on either Thursday or Friday. If you're in the summer program, just pick it up tomorrow or whatever, or just come by. Thursday, Friday, 12 noon to 8 p.m. We'll have the books available to you in my office. Just tell the guard you're there to pick up books. If you're early in the day, they'll tell you to call my office. We'll come to bring it to you. If you're later in the day, you'll go up to room 19. That's where my office, go up to the 2nd floor. He'll tell you where the kids are. They're upstairs for the summer program, going down to room 19. You might just text me before you come. I will be there late both days. We'll have an in-person practice test. Actually, I'm thinking about that to be later in the prep. There will be a home option to take it. But if you want to be really organic and like the real test is, we will offer it in person at the church. I like to see it done that last week so we can know what you look like going into the test. So we have to think about how we do that. All right. We will communicate by text and email during the prep. That's how I'll communicate with you parents. I like group texting, emailing. I'll let you know how things went the first day. I communicate quite a bit during the test about how things are going. During the prep as to how things are going. Recommendation. I'm going to go to you. We'll talk about Bailey in a minute. I'll go to you in a second. Okay, Bailey. Please use a Gmail email address or add westsay.eep@gmail.com to your email address book, please, when you get an email from us, to make sure we can communicate clearly. Or just answer my text or get a hold of me personally. A lot of you know how to get me. Just email me at holythinkers@gmail.com, or you can text. A lot of you have my cell number. Just text me. Okay. I think now let's talk about registration. Bailey, when did she say she would do? Go ahead, Bailey, talk to me.
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to let you know that Christina has said that no later than Friday afternoon, you all should receive an email on how to set up your Princeton Review account.
That's right. And I'm going to make some observations about that. Parents, it's going to be based on the email address you gave me when you registered for the prep. And remember, they're not going to need to use your email. They're only using your email as a username. Okay? It's a username. And just when they set up, you guys need to work together when they set up the password, because they're going to send a code to your email that you'll click, and they go in there. Maybe you can set it for them, actually. It's that easy. It's so easy, you can just set it for them. And remember, it's going to be, and you'll get instructions, but it's not going to be, not Zoom. It's PrincetonReview.com is the website. It's www.princetonreview.com. And the email will tell you that. And you'll click the upper right corner that you want to log in. And then you put in the email address. And you put in the email address. And when you enter, it's going to say, check your email for the password. And you have to go to email for the link and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Because it'll say it doesn't recognize you, but then it will. Okay. So we'll have the registration done with Prince Review tomorrow. And she will send you an email with the instructions on how to set it. It's really easy to set it up. You'll see there are a few questions you'll have to answer students about yourself. It'll take you about 5 minutes. Then it will say, thank you. Welcome to the classroom. You'll see you up there, the name up there. You'll see the date of the first class. That's Saturday and the time when it starts. I just have to remember because I'll be home on Saturday. But on Sunday, I'll be 1 hour ahead. I just got to remember I got to do it at 3 instead of 2, but I remember. All right. Okay. Definitely look for that email. Parents, it's going to come to you. So be aware of that. And then you can set that up. Any questions? So I'll just need somebody to stay behind and give me a login so I can go in there and see what I can do. Maybe the Nolan family will do that. Oh, yeah. She said, yeah. Okay, good. And so Sister Pamela, you'll benefit from what I learned, okay?
Thank you so much.
You know, I'll circle back to you once I look at what their situation is. Sometimes I find out, and sometimes it changes like in a day or so, like this. Okay, anything else I'm forgetting or you have a question about? Go ahead, Sister Scott.
Sorry, a quick question. Is it better to commit to either online or in person? Or if we can make Saturdays in person, can we do Saturdays in person and Sundays online?
You can mix it up.
You can, okay.
Yeah. And by the way, the first question, like most intelligent people, you really asked me 2 questions. I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed. So in the first question, I don't know enough to know which is best for your daughter.
Okay.
I will, but I know by the 3rd session. And I might even let people know that. I will know.
Okay.
So there you go. That's the best way I can answer that first question. But the second one, you can mix it up.
Okay, thank you.
We thought a lot about this. You will not believe how much discussion we had among ourselves leading up to this. But we think this is the best way. Princeton was going to charge us more for students online, but I kind of cried to them and they said, oh, okay, whatever. So you're not charged more. You just have to make that call. So Sister Scott, the way they set it up, let us set it up, made it easy to answer that question. Okay. So I would have had to say, well, yeah, if you're in person, go online, you got to pay. None of that.
Okay, thank you.
So I advise everybody to set up a Prince Review classroom. Everybody should set that up. And then you can have the option to come in or not.
So Deacon Wilson, Ariel and I are going to have a separate problem because of being out of town. Naturally, we could.
How many weeks?
We're going to be out of town to the 9th.
Until the 9th? What does that mean? Let me think. Oh, you're going to miss 6 sessions.
Well, we were going to do them online, but
if it's a vacation, is that really going to work for you? Only you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it would interfere.
Okay, what's the question? I got you. What's the question?
The question, though, we haven't picked up the materials.
So you gone now? When are you leaving?
We have left.
If you have left and don't have a book, do you have an address? Yes.
Yeah.
Is the address moving or is it staying the same?
It can be either.
Whoa, wait a minute. Because I got to give me somewhere I can FedEx it. Come on now.
Okay, well, I will definitely email you and provide you.
Be extremely clear. And remember, you got to do it tomorrow because if you wait till Friday, well, you might get it by Saturday. But if you wait till Friday too late, you won't get it till Monday.
Okay, well, I will send you the email address later this evening.
I mean the address where I can send the book.
Oh, yeah, the address. I mean,
Okay, so I can go right by FedEx tomorrow on the way to Lakewood. I'm going to the Lakewood site tomorrow. I can do it right then.
okay, I will get you the address
Okay, all right.
later
Okay,
this evening. Okay.
okay, good. Because we used to say people can go online and just download the notes, but I found out when it's on the screen, I couldn't raise the score
Okay.
because it's better to have that book and can write and mark in that book.
Okay, correct.
Seems like
Okay.
old school almost, but old school works.
I am sending you the address in about 5 minutes.
Okay, good. So when I go to bed tonight, I'll know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? So they're gonna be away. I have to send. Wow, they could be like in Europe or something. Let me find out. Sister Pam, are you in Europe?
Oh, no, we are not
Okay.
that kind of vacation. That's why I know it's possible to get the work done.
Hey, I had a student in the Philippines last time, back in March. And she was there on time. And it was like a 12, 14-hour difference. She was there all the time.
Wow.
And I got her scores up. She got to school in America.
Wow. Okay.
And Princeton said, whatever you need to do, we'll do it. All right. Okay. Sister, the Nolans now.
Yes. Hi.
Well, is this,
What's the
this
question?
professor way older now?
This is me, Nan.
Professor Nolan. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. They mentioned something online about taking the practice test when you begin, so you'll know where your weakest areas.
Mhm.
Are you going to provide a test for the kids to do that?
Yeah, we can. However, students usually hate me for it, but we can do it. The way I would do it is as follows. I could, once we get the class set up, and it's going to be a little bit funny, I can send it for the Saturday morning and they can do it later. If they do it online, it's going to be timed. And I'll give you, tell you what, when I give you the book, they'll have an answer key in it. Like I'll give everybody 2 answer keys so they could take it. The online shows you the questions, right? But they answer it in the answer sheet by shading the circles and all that. So they can do that kind of a test. I'm just trying to think of what that Saturday looks like for me. Could I do it in person? Saturday, I think it'll be best to allow you to do the time with the timer online and then simply have the answer key in front of you. So anybody who wants to do that can. Now, I plan on delivering a practice test right before they take the test. Because here's the way I look at it. We've gone around about this back and forth too. I feel like the first time you take it, I'd like to know what I expect you to get and then have you take it. That's the scientist in me. Then you take it, right?
Yeah.
And then we know what to review on when you take it again. I'll have a lot of data then, won't I?
Yeah.
So you can do it either way, but
Yeah.
now they'd be taking it twice during the prep. And usually they cut their eyes at me.
Yeah.
I think if you take it in the week before the last week, kind of, I got a chance to cheat and then look at what I do the last week. And also, we can then look at the real test and then compare the two, and we can learn, has there been growth? Is there improvement? Is it worth taking the next? Question will be, do I test again?
Yeah.
You have more data for it. The test before will become irrelevant sometimes because the scores are enough of the world now. Like say you get a 950 or 1,000, that now you might be 1,090. So you go, well, I don't care about that one anymore. Now the question is, what do you score on the actual test? Yeah, we've gone around and around about this. We can do it either way. I am planning as I said in the orientation, I'm planning for us to do a practice test, home or in person, probably during the week, one of those evenings that can come in or do it at home.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's just the students have so much on their plates.
I know.
And I'm like, this is summer, let's get off their backs a little bit. And then I'm like, well, it doesn't matter, they're strong enough. We go back and forth about this all the time. In our house, among ourselves, the teachers and stuff, and Christina and me, we think about these things. And it used to be when we were 5 and 4 hours, we would test on the first day and do no class at all. I always felt like that was 5 hours lost. It's like, I want to get to the students. I don't want to test. And then because I'm so confident I'm going to raise them. And then I test And I said, okay, we'll test after we have the first weekend. But anytime it was 2 in the old days, pre-COVID, the students didn't even try on the second test. Because it's like, think about it this way, Sister Jan. It's kind of like getting a root canal taking the test.
I know. I know. But the point is that if they could see where their deficits were, they could train to that instead of, not knowing what areas they were weak in. And
so I'll make it an option. If you wanted to take it twice with me and then take the test, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't want to take it. But...
I know. Hey, we see the reaction of students. We know.
Yeah.
And it's funny thing about it is like a marathon. Would you run 2 marathons before the marathon? Sometimes what they do is they never really run a marathon until the marathon. They'd run like, 5K, they run,
sections. Right.
So there's that too.
Okay.
And not to hold.
I wish I knew more about her transcript and what kind of colleges she's looking at to really give you a greater answer.
As well as they've taken the practice test in school. So she
yeah. I want that data. I'm a data hog, right?
Yeah.
But when she take it in school,
tell her where.
It does. Is she taking it in the future?
Huh?
She took it already.
Yeah, she took the practice one.
Oh, I would like to see the PSAT. There's data there.
Yeah.
There's good data.
Break it down for her, like what? And we know math and verbal, but will it break down what areas like
everything? If I had your login, I could look at the PSAT.
Which we'll be doing.
It's available online.
Sorry, we're holding you all up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's available. If you want me to look for that when I'm going in there, I can look for it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's on there.
It's in there. It's in there in all its glory. She took it in October, right? Let me think about this. She took it last October.
Yeah.
Am I wrong or right?
Well, the practice, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the school had them.
I think it was about October. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so we'll see what's going on then. Usually, did she take Algebra 2 this past? Did she take Algebra 2 this past year?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah. I feel like, hey, the truth is, I've been doing this so long that if I see him the first weekend, I kind of know who the ones are going to be pushing the higher scores initially. I can kind of tell. And I can tell by the way they engage whether I can raise them too. Yeah. I feel like the way Ryan's looking at me, I feel like I'm going to get them up. I'm not saying she like overly hungry or whatever, but her eyes, they move like. I feel like I'm gonna be able to raise her scores. And let me just look around the room. Ariel, I know I'm raising yours, girl.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I know Ariel really well. I feel like Mariah, I'm getting to know. I think I'm gonna raise hers too. Maybe I'm feeling in a good mood today or something, but whatever. All right, we'll work with it.
Okay, good. I like that. I like it.
Then maybe we get. Okay, we're done with the meeting itself.
All right.
And let's hang on, Nolan. Let's